Jalen Ramsey will begin Rams training camp on the sideline. Ruh-roh. Is Luis Castillo a better idea than Juan Soto for the Dodgers? And the Galaxy send out Chicharito to spin this latest disaster for the third consecutive year. Way to go, guys. Way to face responsibility in the face of danger. Hi, I'm James, and this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is July 23rd, 2022. I want to start off by again thanking all the new subscribers that have joined the channel. I appreciate every last one of you. If you like the content we've been putting out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we put up new clips. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment, because my flight after I'm finished with this work shift will be long and lonely. So I may as well hear from you guys. Now, before we get to the news, let's take a quick look at the scoreboard. Cody Bellinger's grand slam in the 8th inning broke a tie. Dodgers 5, San Francisco 1. The Dodgers have a 10.5 game lead in the NL West. Meanwhile, today, nice docket. The Giants will play the Dodgers again. That'll be at 4. I believe it's on Fox Network. Julio Urias, he's 8-6 against former Dodger Alex Wood, 6-7. Also, LAFC travels into the Midwest. They're going to play Sporting KC at 5:30. And the Sparks are in Las Vegas. LA hasn't beaten the Aces yet this year in WNBA. So we were told that Jalen Ramsey had shoulder surgery. Both shoulders hurt. He had surgery on one of them. That was a surprise. We were told the surgery went well, and hey, he'd be back in time to get everything revved up for the year. Whoops. Ramsey is the most important name of 4 Rams players on the physically unable to perform list, and as a result, he cannot practice. Now, the Rams, they're trying to put a good face on this. They're saying he'll be ready in time for the season opener. And maybe he will. That's a while away. But we didn't know he had shoulder surgery, and we didn't know that he would be ready in time for training camp, or wouldn't be. And that's a problem. On lighter news, quarterback Matthew Stafford allegedly will be throwing at practice on Sunday. Now, you might recall he had an anti-inflammatory injection in his elbow after the season. Hasn't thrown a football since. CBSSports.com had 3 questions that both the Rams and the Chargers must face, said the headline. Oh, they must face these questions. And the truth of the matter is the questions asked of the Rams were rather benign. Will they repeat? We don't know yet. Could we at least play a few games to find that out first? There are no guarantees. Will Odell Beckham Jr. return? That's a benign question. And the reason I say it's benign is I'm not even sure it matters if he does right now. The Rams upgraded at receiving with Allen Robinson, and especially if Tutu Atwell's work with Cooper Kupp in the offseason produces the results that he hopes for. But the third question I acknowledge is interesting, and that's, will the defense miss Von Miller or Darius Williams? I don't think Williams is going to be a big miss, given the fact that the Rams traded for Troy Hill to come back from Cleveland. And, of course, if Ramsey isn't ready for the start of the season, it's going to be Troy Hill stepping in his shoes, because he already knows the defense and they like the way he plays. But Miller, that one I'm not sure about. That's a bit of a wild card, be honest with you. Because there's a difference between upgrading at inside linebacker and upgrade, which they did with Bobby Wagner, as opposed to upgrading at edge rusher, which would have been Von Miller. By the way, Deshaun Jackson, who ended his season with the Las Vegas Raiders, also gets a championship ring from the Rams. It's a nice gesture, even though he was the one who asked out of LA in the first place. So they stood by him. It's Jackson's first ring. Bill Plaschke of the LA Times argues that the Dodgers should pursue Cincinnati starting pitcher Luis Castillo instead of Washington outfielder Juan Soto. The belief is that the Dodgers need starting pitching more than a generational hitting talent. And he's not the only one who thinks this. I do have people who, they talk to me, they send me messages on this channel, and they say the same thing. Honestly, I can't come up with a solid counter argument to put hitting over pitching, or for that matter, pitching over hitting. I see both sides of this story, so I don't want to draw a line in the sand. But I would say this, it is absolutely plausible that Andrew Friedman, the president of the Dodgers, wants another arm, and Soto. The Athletic, by the way, with regards to Castillo, they suggest that a trade for him would depend on what the Cincinnati Reds think of Ryan Pepiot. Now, Pepiot's been a spot starter for the Dodgers this year when their rotation was left in tatters. He is an elite prospect. However, they say he has control problems, which means he might wind up just being a reliever. Now, if you're the Reds, do you really want that as a centerpiece of a trade package? Tough call. Tough call. By the way, blogs are saying they're listing relief pitchers that the Dodgers could pursue. I wouldn't recommend going through those blog posts a lot, because those blog posts conveniently forget Andrew Friedman is reticent to trade for relief pitchers because they are the hardest types of pitchers or position players to evaluate. They only pitch an inning at the most, for the most part. That's one of the reasons why they were so patient last year with Kenley Jansen when he was blowing saves in the early part of the year. It's one of the reasons why they're so patient with Craig Kimbrell right now. Friedman said as much. So I wouldn't put the idea of a trade for a relief pitcher on the docket that high. Speaking of starting pitching, Walker Buehler could begin playing catch next week, although it's not set in stone. I feel bad for Chicharito. I do. The Galaxy, and sometimes I can be honest with you, it's tough to be a fan of these guys. The Galaxy always wheel out Javier Hernandez to say, oh, put a big old smile. I mean, we're having tough times, but we have the talent and everything's okay. Guys, we've been hearing this bullcrap for 3 years with Chicharito. You don't even have, you send, they are relying, the Galaxy front office is relying on us to rely on Chicharito because Chicharito has credibility as a talent for being Mexico's all-time greatest scorer. Now, Chicharito has missed a couple of games due to, quote, health and safety protocols, and he will be back over the weekend, which is nice. But in terms of trying to tell us what's wrong with the team, he's a legendary Mexican player. He's not Baghdad Bob trying to tell us that the U.S. forces didn't hit Iraq. You know who we really want? If the Galaxy front office are even remotely interested, you know who we really want to hear from? We want to hear from Chris Klein. We want an explanation, not just for this year, but for all the years prior where the Galaxy failed to make the playoffs. What the hell is going on there? Chicharito cannot answer for 6 years. He can give a glimpse into 3, but he's not the source. It's the front office. We want to hear from them. The University of California wants to scrutinize UCLA's Pac-12 exit thanks to the urging of Governor Spraytan. Now look, here's the deal. I strongly believe this is nothing short of empty political posturing, because the idea of a lack of transparency, which they're alleging out of UCLA, the idea that the University of California had no idea the Bruins were considering this, I find that really hard to believe. I really do. A move of that magnitude and they were completely caught off guard? No. More importantly, if you want transparency, try fitting $103 million in debt. They knew this. So this leaves the University of California regents with a choice. They're either going to have a sham hearing, and then they're going to craft some political bullcrap statement that sounds tough, but then lets UCLA go to the Pac or go to the Big Ten anyway. That's option 1. Option 2, bail out UCLA. Cut them a check for $103 million, which, by the way, goes to the state taxpayers. Why should the state taxpayers foot the bill for an athletic department that fell that far in debt? Why should we? Or three, also not a particularly tempting option, UCLA would have to close sports teams down to recover the money. Your call, guys. Your call, Regents. Go ahead. So in my opinion, what's going to happen, by the way, just so you know, Newsom and the state legislator, they have no authority to kill the deal. So the Regents have next to nothing to work with here. Okay, because even in 1991, the UC delegated authority to their colleges to create their own deals. So they're going to talk tough, but talk is cheap. We all know this. We have real lives. I mentioned earlier the CBS 3 questions for the Rams. The 3 questions for the Chargers are similarly obvious, but I think they're a little more urgent. These are legit questions. We knew the questions, but they're legit. Who's the right tackle? Now, this matters because every AFC West team, maybe not Kansas City, but every other one, has a fine pass rush. They also asked who's going to be the number 2 running back. I think we would all agree it's Isaiah Spiller. But I'm really curious about the third question. Or I should say curious. I'm actually certain of it. I apologize. Have the Chargers addressed their run defense? I absolutely believe they have. And it wasn't just the players that they brought in. It was the scheme that left them out. Look, Gus Bradley, when he was the defensive coordinator, wanted that defensive line to attack. And then he left to coach over in Vegas. Brandon Staley comes in. He wants his defensive linemen to just stuff the opponent's offensive line and then react. So it's not attack. It's stop, create a wall. You're asking players who are used to attack to now play with a little bit more passivity. And it doesn't work that way for a lot of players. So it's a square peg, round hole thing. They needed the personnel to execute what they wanted to accomplish. And I believe that Sebastian Joseph Day and Kyle Van Noy are ideal for the type of run defense that Brandon Staley wants to have. But if you really wanted to have a terrific question to ask about the Chargers, I would ask this. How are you guys going to keep an injury-prone edge rush tandem on the field? Understand, I'm not talking about hating on Khalil Mack. I'm not talking about hating on Joey Bosa. I'm saying they missed quite a few games. And if either one of them gets injured, or even perish the thought both of them get injured, Chargers will be in real trouble if that happened. They really would. Safety Derwin James, on some good news, however, said he will not hold out while waiting for a contract extension from the Chargers. And that's a big thing because he's in for a big payday. And the Chargers, they have a policy of not negotiating after Labor Day. So the idea of being a holdout, I want my money now, he's not going to do that. He's playing ball. So if you're a Charger fan, you should be pretty excited about that. Russell Westbrook to Indy for Buddy Hield is, quote, dead, according to reports. Why? Well, Indiana wants Lakers draft picks, multiple draft picks. Told you. Meanwhile, guard Austin Reeves wants a new nickname. Lakers fans have given him 2 that he doesn't particularly like. He doesn't like being called AR-15 because that kind of links him to gun violence in his mind. And the other one, he doesn't like being called Hillbilly Kobe. But I'm going to be honest, I think Hillbilly Kobe is kind of cool. Right? I mean, look, nicknames are a term of endearment. They're not always meant to be insults, guy. Just roll with it. I mean, if you can't hang with it, trust me, the nicknames are only going to get worse, not better. So you may as well roll with Hillbilly Kobe. The website Reign of Troy has listed 3 freshmen that they think will make an impact for the USC football team. And I'll be honest with you, of the 3, I'm not really impressed by 2 of them, which is fine because they're freshmen. Let them learn, right? And then throw them out there. Like, for example, so that's why I don't want to name them because I don't want to sound like I'm insulting them. One of the freshmen might become the number 3 safety. Big deal. He's not starting. Another might be in backup running back. Big deal. He's not going to get the ball. He's not going to get the rock. However, cornerback Damani Jackson of Mater Dei, he could start. Now we're talking. There's a freshman that you want to be interested in. He was the number 5 recruit in the nation, the top recruit out of California, and the number 2 cornerback in the country. So if you're wondering about the big future for USC football, start with cornerback Damani Jackson. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast of Faithful Angelenos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We are trying to build something for LA sports, and as you can tell, we've got a lot to talk about. Thanks for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.